Matt Ryan benched in Indianapolis today. We got a quarterback controversy going on there. Braden, I think you should lead us off because you're the Colts fan here, so take it away.
Let's go. Okay, I just want to point out I'm wearing a Carson Wentz jersey. And yes, I did buy this after he was traded to the Commanders. They were on sale, $30 a piece. I got two of them, a gray one and a royal blue one. Um, I just want to say something. I was super hyped last year when they traded for Carson Wentz. I thought he was going to be the quarterback of the future. I was really hoping he would be. I still am a fan of that thought, but obviously that's not the case anymore. Getting Matty Ice wasn't too happy, but in this scenario right now that we are living in today, I'm very pleased to say that Sam Ehlinger is my quarterback, and I'm ready to see what happens.
I think this is a good move for Indianapolis, especially for right now, because they lose to Tennessee, but they still kind of look like they could be in position to go to the playoffs. Frankly, I mean, it looks like anybody really could, other than like Houston and the Bears, but it makes total sense to move off of Matt Ryan right now because number one, they could still save their season. Number two, worst case scenario, they find out if they actually have something for the future, and then they don't have to draft somebody next year if they really do have someone.
Yep, that makes a good point. I want to talk about yesterday's game in Tennessee. The two interceptions. If you go back and watch, like
I saw that happen.
they were like you should have not even had the ball leave your hand in that play. Like you should have just taken the sack or thrown it out of bounds. I don't know why the ball left your hands. You could clearly see the defender covering the receivers, and I don't know when it was, but he was sitting in the pocket. And I think he was throwing a check down. He threw it right to the defender, like he was standing right in front of the running back or the wide receiver. I'm like, why would you even throw that? Another thing is, I know he was dealing with a shoulder injury, a grade 2, I believe, or something like that. But either way, it's time to move on, and I really need to see what Sam Ehlinger has. He's shown me a lot in the preseason. I mean, I think we both have seen him. I mean, we went to a game last year, preseason game in Minnesota, and he played pretty decent. But let's go, Indy baby, bring it home.
Riley, anything to add?
I was watching a decent amount of that game, and the interceptions. Oh my gosh, that was the first one, the pick six. I believe that was the first one. It was very bad to say the least. I don't know.
Yep, definitely.
Give you a little Carson Wentz vibes from like the last three games of the year last year.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to talk about that anymore because that's just something I want to move on from. But quite a coincidence. We're playing the Commanders this week. I don't know if Carson's playing or not. I don't know where he's at with his health or where he's on the depth chart. Well, Heineke did win the game this week, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's starting. But if Carson decides to play, it will be a good comparison to see which quarterback fits the role as a starting player.
I was watching Good Morning Football this morning, and they were saying Taylor Heineke, every time he gets a win, he gets like $150,000 bonus. And what he does with that bonus is, well, it's with a win. If he wins, he gets that bonus.
Right.
And what he does with it, he goes out and gets a new pair of Jordans matching the color scheme of the team he just beat.
I think that's kind of sick, actually.
Me too.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm sorry. I want to go back to the Colts game. I just want to talk about the game plan or the scheme of the game for the Colts offensively. They did not run the ball well, like at all. There's no reason your star starting running back should have 20 attempts for 42 yards. That was horrendous. I mean, that's just putting your players in a bad position overall. I didn't watch the game fully. I just watched a little bit of highlights, but I don't know if they were run the ball 2 times, like the first 2 plays of the drive, and then they throw it on 3rd down, and it's kind of like, oh, if it's 3rd down long, we're pretty sure we know what you're gonna do. But I just think if you put your players in that bad of a position, it's gonna go downhill. But
let's get into that Washington Green Bay game. I think the 2 biggest games from this week are games that stand out the most, and kind of for a negative reason, if you ask me, the Washington Green Bay game and then Tampa Bay and Carolina. So let's continue talking about Taylor Heineke, how he played well yesterday, but Aaron Rodgers, what's going on in Green Bay? He just doesn't look like he has it in him anymore. Like, I'm not saying like the physical talent. I think he's declining physically, but after just watching him yesterday towards the end of that game, it looked like he kind of checked out mentally. I mean, then after he throws the ball across field to one of his linemen and then he's laying on the ground and just made some weird post-game comments. I mean, it's kind of like I just don't know what's going on in Green Bay and if they'll be able to climb out of this hole that they've dug themselves into.
Well, yeah, you're saying this could be the best thing for them. I don't know how. They're going to Buffalo prime time. They are going to get mauled.
I think he's referring to kind of like a run the table type situation.
He just doesn't know what to say, though.
Maybe he's just blurting words to try and post confidence in the.
I mean, he's came up with a lot of things. Relax, run the table.
I mean, I don't know. The Bills are coming off a bye week, so anything could happen.
I kind of feel like so I've heard multiple people's opinions on his comments, and all of them kind of had a general idea of what he could be getting at. One is he could be kind of saying like this could be good for us because it's like showing Gutekunst that they needed to actually invest in the receivers, maybe a little bit better offensive line than what they have. I mean, they kind of just counted on Bakhtiari coming back this year fully healthy, but it's very possible, if you ask me, that both Aaron Rodgers and David Bakhtiari retire at the end of this year. And I think he's also talking about like LaFleur and stuff about his I don't know about necessarily his scheme, but just the way he coaches the game as a whole. I don't think Aaron has always seen eye to eye on what LaFleur is trying to do. But you never know with Rodgers. I mean, he could be hosting Jeopardy this time next year, so we'll see what happens with him.
I know when LaFleur was first hired in Green Bay, he was talking about turning the offensive scheme into a running football team. I know it kind of hasn't seemed that way, even though they're running 2-back sets. But, I mean, still, A-Rod for the past couple of years while LaFleur's been under the helm at head coach, he's been throwing the ball pretty good and just playing good overall. But I don't know. Maybe Matt LaFleur is the problem.
The other quarterback wearing number 12 in the NFL, regarded as the GOAT, Tom Brady, getting demolished by the Carolina Panthers yesterday on the road, 21-3 Carolina. I think this is another thing that we should talk about, similar to Rodgers. I don't feel like Tom Brady's heart is quite in it all the way. It just kind of seems like these guys came back just because they felt obligated for some reason, and then once they actually started doing it, they realized that wasn't what they thought it was going to be. But Tampa Bay is in big trouble. I mean, this was supposed to be their last year getting the band back together, similar to Green Bay. We're going to try to run it back one more time. I mean, I had them go into the Super Bowl this year. I thought it was actually going to happen because Tom Brady had a career year last year, similar to Rodgers, but he just fell off a cliff within like the last 6 months. And there's obviously stuff going on behind the scenes. We don't know all of it, so I don't like to speculate on what's going on. But, if he's going to play like this, I feel like he's more of a liability to the team than anything. I mean, I don't think we're going to see Kyle Trask if Tom Brady leaves, but that's what everybody wants. It's going to be Blaine Gabbert.
Or Mac Jones.
Hey, you never know. I guess we'll find out tonight. Those of you who are going to be listening or watching this tomorrow on Tuesday, you will already know the result of the Monday night game between the Bears and the Patriots. So we'll see how that comment ages. What do you guys think about these two quarterbacks? You think it's time for them to just hang it up?
Yes and no. And I have a couple comments to add on to that. I don't think Aaron's ready to retire. I think he still has a lot left in the tank. He still shows that he has athleticism and he can sling it. I think it's just a team scheme type of things, and the weapons he has isn't there. The loss of Adams. But for Tom Brady, he's going to eat his words about I don't see any retirement in my future. I think if he doesn't turn around within the next couple of weeks, he's probably going to be wishing he didn't say that.
Crazy to think that Tampa Bay is still technically the leader of the South right now with a 3-4 record.
I believe they have the 3rd seed as well.
Isn't it the 4th now? Because I think Seattle has the 3.
Could it
because
be?
they have a winning record.
Oh, maybe I looked before that game was over.
How about Seattle beating up on the Chargers?
Are they number one in the division?
Oh yes, yeah.
Okay.
They're now first place in the West. 49ers lost to the Chiefs yesterday. I believe the Rams had a bye week, didn't they?
Yep.
And then Cardinals, I think, are the Cardinals 3-4 now too?
Yeah, they are 3-4. I'm gonna start off with the Cardinals. I think they're in the same position as the Raiders. They're poorly coached, but they have all the pieces there to work with.
Yeah.
Or at least pieces to work with and get at least over 500. Like at least 9 or 10 wins somewhere, maybe. I don't know, maybe just 500. Anyway, Seattle. I don't know. I think I need to watch one of their games. I haven't watched any of the stuff. I gotta be honest. I haven't watched any of the stuff because I didn't think they're going to perform at all. But I think as soon as I watch their game this Sunday, assuming they don't have a bye, I'm not sure. I didn't check. I think I'll probably be able to identify the type of team they are because they seem to stay consistent.
Yeah, I watched.
Statistically speaking,
I watched them play the Chargers, and they looked really good and fun to watch too. Kenneth Walker is insane. That was probably one of the best things that could have happened to them. That Penny got injured.
That's a good point because I know they were saying I don't know what the saying was, but let Gino cook or something like that. They were chanting Gino. I don't remember, but they were praising him after that week 1 win. I guess he's been playing so good. It didn't really seem like he had to do that much.
He's got some guts too. I mean, he'll throw the ball.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of.
But I'm just saying,
it didn't really hold onto it.
It didn't really seem like he had to do much. It
right.
kind of seemed like they just flat out ran the ball good.
Yeah, I mean the Chargers were out of the game pretty much at this point, but he had like a 74-yard touchdown. Kenneth Walker.
Mm-hmm.
He's really fast.
I saw that on the stat sheet.
Yeah,
and I did see a highlight on Instagram of him.
So can I bring up the seeding really quick?
Go ahead.
Okay. So right now we're going to look at the seeding for both the NFC and the AFC for the playoffs. And these are the matchups that would take place today if the season ended. We're going to start you off with the NFC here. So the number 7 seed, Los Angeles Rams, would be going to the Minnesota Vikings, who are I think I said the number 2 seed. Number 6 seed, Dallas Cowboys, visiting the number 3 seed, Seattle Seahawks. The number 5 seed, New York Giants, would head to Tampa Bay, which this is just really unfair. I mean, right now the Giants are 6-1, Tampa Bay is 3-4. If the season ended today, the Giants would be playing in Tampa Bay. And with the first round bye would be the Philadelphia Eagles. They are the number 1 seed. So then we'll go to the AFC really quick. The number 2 seed, the Kansas City Chiefs, they would be hosting the Los Angeles Chargers, who are the number 7 seed. Tennessee Titans are the number 3 seed. They'll be hosting the Miami Dolphins. Number 4 seed, Baltimore Ravens hosting the number 5 New York Jets. And with the first round bye, the number 1 seed, Buffalo Bills. So some of these teams coming into the season, I didn't think they would actually make it to the playoffs. So like the Giants and Jets specifically, Riley and I have been talking about it for a while. I mean, since training camp, really, that we thought that they were going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the difference between where Riley and I kind of have been. I think Riley pictured them both as playoff teams from the get-go. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but I pictured them both more as like improving, but I didn't think they'd win more than 6 or 7 games. So it's been kind of fun to see both of those teams surprising. And then the Seahawks, in my preseason projections, somebody can go back and look at those if they really want to see how wrong I was. I had the Seattle Seahawks only winning 4 games the entire season. So unless they lose 10 straight, I would be nowhere close.
I'd like to make a statement. I call this soul switching. What I mean by that is teams from the past, they're like, I guess their season's success has switched with teams from the past that haven't been so good. So what I mean like is the Bucks and the Jets and the who's another one?
Saints.
The Saints, right?
Mhm.
Saints, Rams, switch with the Giants, or the Dolphins. I mean, the Dolphins are kind of in the middle with the Cardinals, but the Cardinals haven't done so good. And then the Vikings have always been like an even team. Years they have been like down here, a lot of them, but this is one of those years where they're like up here now. But I mean, I don't know. I just see a bunch of like switching paths and teams orders.
Yeah, I love to see that.
It makes it so it's not like you can, like, the thing that I really like about this year is, in years past, you could kind of just look at a matchup and go, oh, well, we know that the Bills are 100% going to win today. Or we know 100% that the Ravens are going to win. And then now it's like you truly don't know, because the difference between these teams, like the best and the worst teams, isn't as great as it used to be, which is, I honestly think that's good for the game. A lot of people think it's just bad football, but they're putting the worst games on primetime for some reason. But I think a lot of these games that are being played, it's cool to see the upsets.
It's kind of like if anyone's watching playoff baseball, it seems to always be like this. It's the Astros and Phillies, and the Phillies are really hot. I'm kind of feeling like whatever team is hot is winning right now.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it
That's
only
really
takes, like, especially this year, like I said, the top team isn't too much different from the bottom team. So all it takes is a number 6 or 7 seed to storm into enemy territory and, like you said, just get hot, and then you got somebody going to the Super Bowl who barely made it into the playoffs.
The Giants and the Jets played, and it was a close matchup. Like really close. What was it, like 3? I think it was a field goal, or maybe it was 4 points. I don't remember what it was. I'm just trying to compare them as similar teams. I think they're very evenly matched, and we've seen them like grow, like as a whole, and what we think of them. This is what I'm saying. I think they're both dangerous teams that I would not want my teams in the playoffs or to play in the playoffs. And what I mean by that is I think the Jets could beat the Bills. I think they could win the division. Somehow, some way, I think they could beat the Bills in the division.
If anyone remembers, I said, "Do you guys see a world where the Jets could possibly win the divisions?" You guys kind of like, "Not really,"
Right.
just kind of shrugged it off.
Hmm.
I thought
But
there was
yeah,
zero chance.
Right.
they look really good. Obviously, we haven't mentioned yet Brees Hall, big blow, tore his ACL. That really sucks, man. He was
Hmm.
looking like high candidate for rookie of the year.
He was, but I think even without him, they still have a good chance of beating the Bills.
Yeah, they're lucky they
Or
have
any
Carter
team,
behind him.
honestly.
Yeah,
I'm a little concerned. I feel like Brees Hall was such a big point in their offense. They're going to have to make a major adjustment. So there's probably going to be a good week or two where the Jets maybe don't look as good as they have in the past 3 or 4 weeks. But I'd like to see them get back on track.
yeah. I'd like to see more kind of end around plays with Barrios type like that.
He's good. He's good when you just put the ball in his hands. I mean, you don't necessarily need to like throw him the ball deep or have him run a ton of routes. Like just find little gimmick plays to get the ball in his hands and let him do
Yeah,
his work. I mean, he was an all pro last year for special teams. So that just shows that, once you get the ball in his hands, he could make some magic happen.
It's crazy how teams can find a way to weaponize these little players. I'm what I mean by that is like Barrios, um, Alex Erickson, Hunter Renfro. I'm talking about these type of guys. Who's the other guy that went to Bemidji State?
Gunnar Olszewski.
Yeah, Olszewski. Yeah, it's funny how they can be such. Their teams can find a way to put these guys in such good positions and turn them into big offensive weapons in like a very short role. If you understand what I'm saying, it's
Yeah.
like I don't even know how to explain it. But they can if you put the right guys in good positions, they can put up the numbers. And all these guys have shown to prove it, and they do not have the biggest like physical talent.
I kind of think about like Cordero Patterson, how Cordero Patterson, he was a little gadgety guy for a while, but like he was drafted as a wide receiver, mainly played kick returner until he went to the Falcons and they started using him like basically a true running back. And so ever since they started doing that, it's like he found his home there. But yeah, like you said, I mean, you just find one thing that these guys are really good at and just keep on using them in that way, and they usually perform well.
The Steelers defensive backs last night, 4 drop picks, 4 drop interceptions, and you can go on Instagram on the NFL page and you can find the video in the montage of Tua just laying it in the DB's hands,
yeah.
and they just drop it.
I'm kind of worried about Tua. I don't know if either of you saw, but there were a couple plays where he laid down his head and he tried like running into someone.
It's yeah, I don't know. I have no comments for that. Actually,
That doesn't really seem to bother me. I think we're seeing less and less of like I don't want to say career ending, but like season ending injuries from quarterbacks just running with the ball.
I'm just concerned about him using his head too much. Like the first thing that I thought of when I saw him get tackled in the way that he was tackled is he's only gonna have a maybe 3-4 year career and then he'll be done after that if he keeps on taking hits to the head like that. I mean, I think it can be an easy fix really if you ask me. Just don't don't let him scramble, don't let him improvise as much. I mean, if you want to do that, I think Skylar Thompson's your guy. Skylar Thompson actually is pretty impressive to me. I don't know
Yeah.
what Riley thinks. Yeah, he was running all around the field in his first NFL start until he injured his hand. But I think Tua maybe could just stick to the script a little bit more and not put his life in danger or career. So Christian McCaffrey played his first game as a 49er yesterday. So we didn't really get to break down the trade very much yet. how do you guys feel about the compensation in which was given up for Christian McCaffrey?
Well,
Go ahead.
49ers don't really have a pick in that draft anymore. So looking at it that standpoint, it's pretty bad. But you have Elijah Mitchell. I know he's injured. You have Jeff Wilson. He played bad the week before, but I just don't really see how it was that necessary, especially what they had to give up to get. I think Carolina did pretty decent considering what they did want.
Hmm. I think he's gonna be a toy for Kyle Shanahan to use. He's just that fun kind of, stick him in the slot, stick him in the backfield, put him as a wing back, put him wherever you want, really. And then they can kind of interchange him and Debo Samuel a little bit. But I think the draft compensation that they gave up is way too much, especially for a running back, an aging running back. I mean, name a running back trade that has went well. There really isn't many. I mean,
No.
the first one that pops to my mind about going bad is the Trent Richardson trade. I mean, Trent Richardson was amazing,
Oh,
and then
don't
he got
remind
traded.
me.
And I think Braden wasn't a first round pick.
It was, and it was the year he was drafted too.
Yeah. So,
I don't know what they were thinking.
but just look at it that way. I mean, Trent Richardson was a player who was coming off of a rookie year where he had 1,000 yards, and that didn't even work out. So, I don't understand the move of trading for a running back. I could see if this was like Buffalo, where it's like, okay, this is the last piece that we need in place before we go to the Super Bowl. But to be honest, I mean, now that San Francisco's got a losing record, I think they're pretty much gonna just have to dream about the Super Bowl. I don't think they're gonna get there at all.
Another thing is to your point of him aging, he's 26, and could see like if he was 23, 24, but I just saw like right after the news broke, I saw an article that said it was from 2016 that the 49ers were scouting McCaffrey from Stanford. So it took them 6 years to get him. 6 years for a running back being in the league is a long time. He is probably on the decline of his prime, I'd say.
How old was AP in 2016? Do you remember
2016, I
when
want
he
to
played
say
for the
he
Saints?
was 30. I
Okay,
think I think he
so
was 30 by then.
the 2015 year, which was technically his last good year, I think it was. He was 29.
Something like that. Yeah. He's kind of immortal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not anymore, but yeah, he basically was. But McCaffrey is a much different player. Like you said, you can put him in the slot, wing back, anywhere basically. He must have a very good idea. Shanahan, I'm talking about. He must have a very good idea on how he's going to use him. Because let's be honest, running back is the most replaceable position. Well, and
I
probably wide receiver. Well, no, not wide receiver because there's a lot of talent to that. But
I totally agree with that statement,
yeah,
100%.
yeah, running back is the most. I'm sorry.
Plus, this class is kind of looking pretty dang good again.
Oh
You could
yeah.
you could
This draft
easily,
class is gonna be insane.
yeah.
I mean, you got Bijan Robinson and Jameer Gibbs, who both might go in the first round. Then after that, then you kind of got 6 more guys lined up behind them who could potentially do something. I mean, this
Jameer Gibbs would have probably been a decent fit for them.
well, and if you're talking about like what they're going to use CMC for, I kind of feel like Bijan Robinson would have been the best fit for that. I mean, they could use him as a nice little tooly player, but it just doesn't make much sense why San Francisco did this. And I mean, I think this is another thing like we were talking about with Trey Lance. Currently, right now, I'm building a file on things that I can use to fire the administration in San Francisco. And quite honestly, this, along with the Trey Lance thing, is going to totally go right in there. And if this doesn't work, I mean, that's pretty much it for both of John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, if you ask me.
What do you think about the running back room there?
I think it's crowded.
Other than that, it's stacked. I mean,
I was just gonna say that.
it's unnecessarily stacked. But like, why did you need to do that? And
Well,
What
like,
do you
Yeah, that's the thing.
what do you think they do when Mitchell comes back? They just bench him the whole time?
I
well,
think
they might use them at the same time, you know,
Yeah.
because
I
they
think-
do split back sets.
in terms of like touches and everything, though, I think it'll be more of like, I don't know if Elijah Mitchell will split with Jeff Wilson or not, but like they could do what I would do if I was San Francisco. I'd do a split between Wilson and Mitchell for the main carries, and then I'd use McCaffrey as that toy like I was talking about, where you can kind of do anything with them.
I want to go. I like your idea, Connor, but I want to go on a different topic in the same team room. Talking about San Francisco, I want to go back in the preseason when they had Trey Sermon. I don't know what was going on with that situation or in the running back room, but he could have been your guy, and you got rid of him. And let's be honest, he's super young. Was last year's rookie year? I don't remember, but I know he's young out of Ohio State, and you kind of just let that talent go away. And he's a solid back. Usually backs out of Ohio State have good careers.
Right.
I don't know if you guys saw the Rams made an offer for McCaffrey, and it was pretty similar. Surprised they had the amount of draft capital, but they also included Cam Akers in their trade.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the Panthers kind of viewed him as a bag of chips, and they were just like, no, we'd rather give him to 49ers and get like an extra 4th-round pick or something.
Sure. I mean, that makes sense.
I would do that too. They don't really need Cam Akers at all.
Well, right. And if you're just getting them just to get them, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not really helping your team at all. So I'd rather have the draft capital and Cam Akers. All right, so let's go ahead and sign off the BCR Football Cast. Thanks to everyone for checking us out. If you want to go ahead and follow us on TikTok, that'd be great. Like and subscribe on our YouTube channel, comment and share, and check us out on the streaming services, basically anywhere you can get your podcasts. So thanks for checking us out, and we'll see you on Thursday